Okay, let's go ahead and get started. It's another great morning in Lincoln, and today is particularly nice for me to talk about what's been happening in our city. I want to start out, of course, by thanking Huddle and their CEO, David Graff, who's up here with us this morning and has been so kind as to host this event. As most of you know, Huddle makes video editing software for sports teams, and for the second year in a row, this Lincoln-based company has been ranked as the fastest growing private company in the state. So congratulations one more time to you and to your staff as well, of course, for such extraordinary success. It is indeed the success of companies like Huddle that keeps our local economy growing and thriving. And as we approach the Thanksgiving holidays, it is clear that we have a great deal to be thankful for in the city of Lincoln. Just a few short years ago, the story was much different. When we came into office in 2007, little did we realize that the country would be experiencing one of the most challenging economic times in the nation's history. The Great Recession began that year with the bursting of the housing bubble. The loss of wealth led to sharp cutbacks in consumer spending and a significant decline in business investment. Worse yet, as spending and investment dried up, millions of people lost jobs. It was the most dramatic employment contraction of any recession since the Great Depression. At a municipal level, the recession had a dramatic impact on the city of Lincoln. Our city budget was structurally imbalanced entering the recession. Then declining sales and property tax revenues made the situation worse. We had to make tough budget decisions to cut spending in order to maintain even the core services essential to our residents. At the same time, we just had to find ways to promote economic development, which is, of course, the way out of such situations. Public-private partnerships became critical to our success in that regard. By forming partnerships, we found ways to fund projects to improve our business climate and quality of life, and to create new opportunities that ultimately began to lead to a brighter future. One example is the Development Services Center. We enlisted the help of private sector stakeholders to make sure we would reach our goals, that is, to dramatically improve customer service and to speed the development process in our city. We also work closely with the private sector to transform Lincoln into a world-class city. The result is a period of historic growth. We see that brighter future in the Pinnacle Bank Arena and the West Haymarket Development and Innovation Campus, and in our commitment to sustainability, and in many, many other development projects. As the result of partnerships and hard work and a common vision, our community is now experiencing rapid growth. We see expansion projects in all quadrants of the city. Our unemployment rate is down to an incredible 2.8%, and the number of people actually employed has hit an all-time high record. Sales tax and property tax revenues are increasing. Building permits have rebounded, and plans for new development are evident with respect to several business expansions and additional development opportunities. I can't help but feel that we are at the beginning of what might be referred to as a golden age, that is, a defining, uplifting period in the history of our community. We are hitting on all cylinders indeed, and have elevated our dreams to the level of expectations. It is now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Eric Thompson. He is the director of UNL Bureau of Business Research and is a longtime expert on business development and the economy of Nebraska, and he's here to give us some more specific information about the Lincoln economy. Thank you, Doctor, for being here today.
My pleasure. Thank you, Mayor. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you today. At the Bureau of Business Research, we in partnership with Lincoln Partnership for Economic Development, we produce a quarterly report summarizing the strength of the Lincoln economy. And frankly, the last two reports have been extremely positive. I would characterize the Lincoln economy right now as a surging economy with very strong growth in many key sectors and certainly strong growth in most of the rest. So I'm pleased to have an opportunity to talk to you about that a little bit today. Some of the numbers are very striking. The mayor mentioned a 2.8% unemployment rate. That is less than half the national average. We typically have a low unemployment rate in Lincoln, but given where the national economy is right now, to be below 3% is a very strong number. There is broad-based growth in the economy. Building permit activity remains quite strong in the Lincoln area. It's pulling back in some other parts of the country, but is quite strong here. You see evidence of a strong and growing retail sector in our solid progress in terms of sales tax revenue. Even a lot of strength in the sale of automobiles here in the community. So it's a very broad-based economic expansion. I think it's most striking, though, in some of the employment numbers you see. So it's been a good year for job growth in the United States, but as you can see, job growth in Lincoln is substantially faster than the national average, approaching 3% over the last year. But the real evidence of the strength is when you look at our next slide at some of the specific industry sectors. So what you'll see is that, for example, the construction industry is growing by nearly 6% job growth over the last year. That's what I mean by surging. The other financial sector, which is largely composed of banking and other financial services industries, is growing by 5%, despite being fairly flat in other parts of the country. You see solid growth in manufacturing, 2% job growth in that sector. That's a lot of opportunity for blue-collar workers in our community. Government employment, this is a state capital. We've seen some expansion in government employment, which you just don't see in other parts of the country. So, and of course the healthcare sector is strong here in Lincoln. So this broad-based growth that we're seeing, not only overall, not only in indicators like our permit activity and our retail activity, but also in our key sectors, is what led me to believe that the Lincoln economy is surging over the last year and hopefully going forward.
Thank you. As I had indicated earlier, of course, partnerships have been what we've identified as the critical operative concept in terms of what's happening in the city lately. UNL and the educational sector, the business community, and the nonprofits, it's been an effort across the board. But two of our biggest partners have been the Chamber of Commerce and the associated entity, the Lincoln Partnership for Economic Development. And of course, Wendy Birdsall heads up those organizations. And I can't tell you what a pleasure it's been working with her these last few years. And I'm hoping she will say a few words today.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. And the partnership really is very keen on, or very key to this development in the community. It's so important that we worked with not only the city but also our entities with the University of Nebraska and help to develop the strong, skilled workforce in our community, which is what drives it. Eric is right. You only need to look at the statistics to see how great Lincoln is that Lincoln's on the move. Lincoln couldn't be in a better spot right now. This couldn't be a better time to live in Lincoln, Nebraska. And I tell you what, if you know economists and if you know Dr. Thompson, they don't get too excited. They don't raise their voice too often and get too excited about anything. So when he says the economy is surging, that's a really big deal. Again, one only needs to look at the statistics to underscore that. And really, all one needs to do as well is to go out and walk into the Haymarket area or visit any sector within our community to know how vibrant it is and know how different it is and has developed over the past few years. A week doesn't go by, a month doesn't go by that we're not talking about the top 10 lists that we're hitting. You know, there's all sorts of third-party validation that talks about what a great place Lincoln is. Forbes, MSNBC, ABC News, they all talk about the great business climate, and Gallup also tells us that we're the happiest city. So how much better can it get? I mean, really. But truly, the real story is about our next speaker. Our economy is booming because of companies like Huddle. This tech sector and startups like Huddle are really the backbone, and it's really what's fueled us over the past few years. And we are so very proud of it, and so very proud that it is a Lincoln-based and a great homegrown success story. And believe me, the chapter in Lincoln's history is just beginning. We're going to keep talking about it, and we're going to keep growing this economy like this, but it's because, as I said, of folks like David Graff, who is the CEO of Huddle, and he's going to come share his story firsthand. Do you want to introduce him further from that?
I'll talk about him after.
Okay, great. It's all yours,
Go ahead.
David.
Thanks, Whitney. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We appreciate you.
And thanks to all you guys for coming out to our
I do want
offices
point
today.
out Before you talk, so you missed the latest ratings that's come
Livability.
out. We've been named the #3 city for young entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Just yesterday, ahead of San Francisco, Seattle, Austin, and Raleigh. We're getting up there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That's awesome. Well, again, thanks to all of you guys for coming out today. We're really proud to call Lincoln home, and we hope to be here for a long time to come. There's a great pipeline of talent that comes out of the University of Nebraska. The Rake School has been phenomenal for us, and there's a lot of other great universities in the area that have been really successful at producing talent so that we can continue to grow our team here. We've got a team of over 190 now, and that's off of a base of probably about 30 if you go back 3 years. So been a lot of growth over the past few years. And really a lot of that credit goes to the new entertainment and living options that exist down here in Lincoln. We have a large portion of our associates live here in downtown, get to enjoy the new options in the rail yard and here around the Haymarket. And it's been phenomenal not only for us keeping talent that graduates from the university here in Lincoln, as well as attract people who had either ties to Lincoln in the past or people who had no connection to Lincoln but come here and are just wowed by the community and what we've been able to build downtown, you know, in the Haymarket and down in the rail yard. So big credit to the groups for that. We've had great support from the local community in general and from local businesses here. We found great mentors and advisors locally. And we've just found that in general for companies that want to get started, there's a large number of local groups that are happy to help not only from providing advice, but also putting their money where their mouth is and providing capital as these companies want to start up. So that's, from our standpoint, a phenomenal environment that we have growing here in Lincoln. We can't say enough thanks for the work that Wendy and Mayor Beitler and the 2015 Vision Group and others in the community have done with just building up the Haymarket and the rail yard to where it is now. It really is a phenomenal asset for us, and we're excited to see it continue to grow and for us to continue to grow our business here in Lincoln. So thank you guys.
David, thank you very much. We're looking forward to next year and your third appearance on the great rating scheme. All right, questions?
Mayor, do you want to say a little bit more about one of the best cities for young entrepreneurs or non-Mike?
Oh, I was just indicating that I think this came out yesterday. It's a personal finance website, NerdWallets, and it was a survey with respect to the best cities for young entrepreneurs. And we placed third, behind only Madison and one other city in Virginia, I think. But we were ahead of San Francisco and Seattle and Austin and Raleigh, places that have been constantly identified by the national press as great places for young entrepreneurs. Clearly, we are now in the game, and people like David and his young crew are making it happen, and more things like this are going to happen, so. Yeah.
Question for David. You kind of touched on this, but you know, we're not far from Omaha. We're not even that far from Chicago. Of all the big Midwestern cities that you could choose to, you know, start this company from, why Lincoln? What made you want to, you know, call this home for Hudl?
Absolutely. So we got our start here in Lincoln. The University of Nebraska football team was our first customer. Having the ability to be within walking distance of the university, be so close to that great pool of talent, and then secondarily, just the support we saw was what allowed us to build here. So, like I mentioned earlier, the support from the local community, from local businesses that were willing to offer advice and mentorship. Just as we got started from, you know, a group of 3 guys to, well, we are now a team of 190. We've had a lot of challenges and a lot of questions along the way, a lot of learning that's needed to happen, and we found that the community and community leaders have been very willing to offer their time and assistance along that path.
What would you like to see happening in the future to help companies like yours expand?
For us, being located in downtown, just having a vibrant downtown community is very key. So continuing to see more residential investment, get more services. Grocery store would be phenomenal, selfishly, as a downtown liver. That's one that's high on my list. But honestly, we think Lincoln's on a great path, that if they continue on this, continue to invest in those entertainment options and those living options, and just keeping the nightlife active, that's a key for us in attracting fresh college talent, not only from the university here, but bringing it back. Like I mentioned earlier, graduates who attended University of Nebraska and may have gone out to San Francisco area or go up to Seattle to work for Microsoft or to Fargo, come back and see Lincoln. And the Lincoln that they see when they come back, you know, after being gone for 3 to 5 years, is far different than the one that they left, which has been great for us.
All right, you good to go? Thank you very much for covering this. I think it's an important, some important pieces of information for the citizens. It's great. Thank you. And thank you.